Good evening. Today is Wednesday, April 4th, 2013, and you're watching the Jessa Channel on YouTube. I'm Jessa, and today I'm here with part 2 of creating a hood in SimCity 4, the tutorial series for The Sims 2. This series is about making your own hood, just like my Acanthop Isle. If you'd like to see pictures of Acanthop Isle, make sure to head over to part 1 of this tutorial and get the basics on how to start up your region and your city in SimCity 4. So, we're here, we're looking at our brand new city, and it's time to do some terraforming. I showed you some of the tools in part 1. I'll show you those again. These are for moving the land up, for moving the land down, for flattening or smoothing the land, and for adding trees. It's important to remember that adding trees is not something we want to do in SimCity 4. We're going to do that when we're fine-tuning our hood in The Sims 2. So, let's zoom in. First of all, let me show you about some of the tools for zooming in and out. I'm using the mouse button, the mouse wheel to zoom in, all the way in like that, and all the way out. Zooming in and out. I am holding down, and these are very similar for Sims players who've played Sims 2. I'm holding down the right mouse button and moving around like this. And to turn the world, I'm using the rotate keys over here, rotating back and forth. When looking at your world, I'm going to urge you, if you can do it ad hoc, off the cuff, let it fly if you'd like to. But in order to save yourself a whole lot of irritation and annoyance, I would recommend having a basic plan of what it is that you want. For me, when I did Acanthop Isle, and I'll pull those pictures up again for you. When I did Acanthop Isle, what I wanted was, let me see if I can find a picture of it here. I had a very specific layout that I had designed in my head for Acanthop, and I'm just going to open this up here. I knew that I wanted to have a small island, and I recommend that you do the same. You can get people can get very grandiose with their ideas for what they want for their hoods. That's wonderful. If you want to go all out and build New York City, go right ahead. But keep in mind, it's going to take you some time unless you're some kind of speed demon or don't sleep. The more complicated your world is, the more you have to put down those houses to make yourself so I'm not trying to discourage you from doing that. I'm just letting you know that for me, I wanted Acanthop to be a small, tiny island, and even with the size of Acanthop as it was, it still took me 3 months to make it. Now, I'm also slow, so I think it might not take you as long, but I was very, very particular about the details because I knew I was going to be playing this world for the next 10 years. I wasn't planning. I'm one of those people that I'm a slow simmer. Once I get started on a world, I want it to go in numerous generations. And my last world that I did not design myself, I played for 6 years. So I knew I was in for the long haul. Now, coming back here to building your world. Once you've decided what you want, whether you want plains, whether you want an island, whether you want a city, the important thing is to just keep everything as much as you can in the middle of the map, the important parts that you're going to be playing most of the time. I highly recommend getting a camera mod. You can find them on modthesims.info, where you can find all of the best mods. I should say most of them, for The Sims 2. And there are camera mods there which allow you to see your entire world. That's how I'm able to get that top-down picture of Acanthop that I just showed you. And that's how I'm able to scroll so far out. But just to keep yourself some sanity there, work in the middle of the map. So the first thing to do is to make an island. There's 2 ways to do that. One is the building, moving, kind of taking the edges down. I'll show you that way. I like to use Shallow Valley a lot. I like to use the tools that give me not a steep change, but a more gentle change. That way I don't have to spend so much time going, whoa, whoa, what just happened? Remembering that there is no undo key. So that's why I tend to make changes in a kind of gentle way. The other thing is to show you about tool sizes. Right now, this is the standard tool that comes out, the standard size. It's a good size for what we're going to do, but when you start getting into fine-tuning a little bit, you're going to want a smaller brush. The way that you do that is you press the Control key, and you can press a number key to correspond to brush size. Control 1. Oh, I'm doing this wrong. I'm about to show you guys something incorrect. Let's see. Hold on, I'm going to pause and remind myself as to how to do this. So I wanted to show you while I was looking up this information. This is the best tutorial I have found for creating your own neighborhood. Unfortunately, this tutorial used to have pictures, if I recall correctly, and it doesn't anymore. The pictures were lost in the span of time. This tutorial was created by Patul on July 4th, 2006, so it's been online for a long time. This is at modthesims.info, so you should be able to search for the name of this thread and get to it fairly easily. I will also put a link to it in the description box below. And he gives you this is the tutorial I followed when I was learning. And I would just kind of do each step over and over again until I kind of got it down. So, he's reminding us that there's no undo file here. Here we go. So the thing I was looking for here was when you select a tool, the default size is selected. By pressing the Shift, you enlarge it. You can press the Shift 0 to Shift 1 key commands, and you can lock smaller brushes. So it was not Control, it was Shift. So we're all learning together. So we have Shift and then 1, Shift 2, Shift 3, Shift 4, Shift 0. So starting from the 1 key, that gives you the smallest. I'm going to go for Shift 0 because we're working along the edges here. And once again, I like to do kind of gentle changes. Now, you don't have to make an island. You can make, you could have this whole area just be flat green if you wanted to. I am very partial to islands. For example, you could have this be, you could finish and do it just this. I'm going to do an island just because I enjoy islands. And it also involves a little bit more terraforming, so I can teach you about terraforming tools. All I'm doing is holding down the left mouse key here, the left mouse button, and I'm gently going down. I have found, like I said, that using the gentler tools are a lot easier. Now, you also can have, you'll notice in Acanthop that I have part of my world bumped right up to the edge. I did that on purpose, and the reason why is because I wanted this area here to be as if it was the edge of a continent. In my imagination, the mainland is a huge continent. Now, of course, the game has limitations, as does my computer, and so rather than trying to make a huge continent, I simply kind of gave the idea of one by butting it up to the edge of the map, as if this hillside here continues on. In my imagination, you can go through the mountains in the train and come out on the other side, and there are big cities on the other side of this hillside, and the continent goes on. It is quite big in my imagination. So that's how I kind of was able to work out the whole size compared with actually getting the game to run problem. So you can do that if you'd like to, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to continue on. I'm going to kind of make a little inlet here perhaps, and then I'd like to make some mountains. So let's head over to raising our tool here, and remember that you're going to have to look at part 2 in order to, part one, excuse me, this is part two. In order to get in, that's where I talk about how to get back into God mode, how to save your city. So it's important to look at that as well too. And then over here, I'm going to give this a nice big rise over here and make that kind of mountainy. And then make this, and then kind of go out to there. So you can also then go in here and using a small brush, using that Shift 2, let's try that, or Shift 3, I can continue to grow small little areas here. Like I could just give that a little bit more and then bring this down like this, because real mountains have ridges and rides and that kind of stuff. I could bring this up like that and create a nice little hill area there. So terraforming is basically just playing around with things and kind of imagining how you want things to be. Once again, you can wing it, but I highly recommend planning it out because you're going to have to fit roads in here. And that's really, very important, because obviously without roads, you can't place houses in The Sims 2, at least not without the help of external programs. And then moving on, if you want to, let's say that you don't like the hill back here, you can level the terrain. I'm going to put Shift 3 on my brush size. Come over here. I don't like this bump right here, so I'm going to scoot on in and kind of level this out a little bit. You can use a quick level brush, which just flattens everything. I tend to try to go for more softer tools, so I have less extremes. You can do planes here. Now, don't worry about getting it perfectly flat. Don't worry about that. That's what you have your free time cheat for, which we'll do in another part of the tutorial. So I'm terraforming here. You can also, for example, make a little, using the valley tool and a small brush. I'm very fond of making lakes that the Sims can use in game. So you can just go here and keep going down, 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 pausing for a minute until you hit water. And there you go. And there's some water. And then you can work around the edges and smooth out the edges. I'm going to use the soften tool for this particular task. Once again, highly recommend and there you go. Just kind of takes the edges off of things a bit. If you try, and I did this once in the early years before I learned about before Free Time came out. Free Time's neighborhood terrain cheat is so valuable to building your own terrain that, I highly recommend. I mean, if you try and do it without that, good luck to you, basically. But now we have our little island here. I'm going to show you one more trick that I like to use. Let's see here. Where is it? Here we go. Under the terrain effects tool, I like to take my islands down just a bit. Because when you transfer this over to The Sims 2, you're going to see that it's actually going to be pretty high up off the ground. So I'm just going to lower the entire terrain down. So that takes it right underwater, and you're like, okay, that's too much. So what you can do is you can go back in and using the, I'm going to use the, what do I want to do? I'm going to use the leveling brush. Go down to a size 2 and just go starting from a high point. So that makes it a little bit too high. So once again, this is a playing with thing. You can't, unfortunately, you cannot do the undo button. So you're thinking, okay, Jessa, that looks like, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying not to say a dirty word here. That looks crappy. So the best thing to do when you get into a situation like this is you can either just keep playing with it because of that godforsaken no undo button. You can go back down again and try again, or you can bring it up and like this and then just flatten it out again. Let's let me just go over here, and I'm going to try the soften tool, and I'm going to put it on, say, 3, and I'm going to start just softening that out again and lowering it down. Now, once again, you're basically just trying to go for the same, trying to go for a basic shape. You're just going for a basic shape. Because all of the fine-tuning stuff that you want to do, even building mountains, even building ponds and rivers, can be done in The Sims 2. And whereas there is no undo button in The Sims 2, there's that free time cheat, once you figure out how it works, can work pretty well. So you can come back here and try and lower it again. There we go. So that's what I was looking for, is that kind of just flat to the ocean, not too far up. And then I'm going to pause at this moment and show you the first step for being able to check out how your world is looking in the game. This is a trick that I learned that's really excellent for being able to check things on the fly. You have your hood here. We're going to save it. And the name of it is city-tutorialcity.sc4. And where it is it's in your region folder. I'm going to pause and pull it up. So it is right here in your SimCity, My Document, SimCity 4 Regions. The Jessa Channel tutorial is the name of this region. And here's our city. Now, what I'm going to recommend that you do is, I think the easiest way to do this would be this is if you're a Windows user, is to go on over to your Sims 2 My Documents folder, take your SC4 Terrains folder, and just slide it right on over here and create a shortcut. And then go back to your SimCity 4 tutorial, and then just slide this, copy it, right click, and then don't move it, copy it over to your SC4 Terrains, and there it is. And the place where I am in, once again, My Documents, EA Games, The Sims 2, SC4 Terrains. And for those of you guys relatively new to The Sims 2, I'm assuming most people here are seasoned simmers, but I like to make the tutorials available for all levels of people watching. This is where your downloads folder is, your neighborhoods, your saved sims, your storytelling, your groups cache file, which we talked about in another tutorial earlier, episode 1. So in your SC4 terrains, that's where you put your terrains. I have nothing in my SC4 terrains. I've deleted them. But in the game, as it comes, there's a lot of terrains in here. You can take them out if you want. It doesn't really matter. But just make sure you can find your terrain. Once you have your terrain in here, it's as simple as going over to The Sims 2. I recommend that if you have a lot of downloads that you take them out. You won't need them while you're making your hood and checking it out. Go over here. It will click on the Add a New Neighborhood button. And there is your SC4 file. This is important. You don't have to start and restart the game and close it down to have it see new SC4 files. The game will read any SC4 file that's in the so you can just hot swap back and forth as you're building. This will save you so much time. She says, a woman who has been extremely tested. For neighborhood name, I just start naming it, like, you can just name it neighborhood A, for example, and then next one's B and the next one's C. Doesn't really matter. Just name it anything. So we'll just name it A. Doesn't have to put in neighborhood description. Terrain type, leave as is. And it will load up that neighborhood. Now, the only difficulty is if you have, as I do, all of the expansion packs, you will find that it takes a little bit of time to start up the new hood. So go get a drink or, look at something else on the internet. That's the only slight difficulty with it. I'm going to leave this up so you can see how long it takes. After you've been doing it for a while, you just get used to it. You just go in and check and then go back over to SC4 and keep working on it while it's loading, and then check and make sure. So it's creating all the subhoods, even though I have no intention, the contents for each subhood, even though I have no intention of using those subhoods. So because I have the camera mod in it, for some reason, and I don't know why, it always starts me over in this corner. But here we go. Here's our landmass. And you can see what I mean. I was trying to get kind of a low to the ground, low to the ocean level, that's what I mean to say, sea level. So here's your hood, here's your hill, I mean. Over here is where I was trying to make a little pond. Don't worry, we'll be able to continue working with that. So this is the first step. This is terraforming. Now this hood is not usable because it has no roads on it. And whereas you can add roads to a hood later on, but it takes an outside tool, a tool that is outside of the game by Mutilda called Hood Replacer, I believe, or anyway, but we'll work on that later. So this is the first part of the tutorial, and by the way, I love this little hidden rainbow. That's you can only see if you have a camera mod. So this has been part 2 of the hood creation tutorial, working on terraforming. In the next part, I'm going to talk to you about adding roads. So, if you enjoyed what you saw, please hit the thumbs up button below and encourage me. And if you loved what you saw, join the party and subscribe. And I'll see you in part 3, where we learn how to place roads, bulldoze roads, and make that nice little tiny tight-knit community feel in the next episode. As always, thank you so much for watching. Get every new Jessa Channel video right in your email inbox. Subscribe, then from your YouTube homepage, click Manage Subscriptions, then check Email with new uploads.